Session with a very expert lineup of experts. And today we are going to tackle data-driven transformation and how we power growth and efficiency across industries. My name is Walid. I'm from Egypt, CEO of Intervento and organizer of DSC MENA, if anyone is interested in coming to the upcoming edition in DSC MENA. And today I'm having the privilege of moderating this discussion panel instead of Vic, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. Let me start with an introduction to our speakers. Goran Pavlovic, who is a BI, Big Data and Analytics Director at A1, a leading European telecom company. Goran has been at the forefront of using data to improve customer experience and digital transformation in telecom.
Thank you, yeah. Hello.
Dmitrii Pshichenko, Chief Technology Officer at Nice, a major energy company. Dmitrii has extensive experience in integrating AI and data analytics to address operational challenges and promote sustainability in the energy sector. Tiago Peixoto, Senior Digital Development Specialist at the World Bank and GovTech Coordinator for the Western Balkan. Please give them a warm welcome. All right, our panel is divided in two major parts, and then we will have a space for questions at the end. So I encourage you, if you have questions you would like to ask to our panelists, to write them down and keep them in mind. This is going to be an interactive session where we also would like to tap into the knowledge in the room. But kind to start, I would like to start with a generic question to the three of you. And from your perspective, what is the single most exciting opportunity that data and AI offer for your industry today? And to clarify, Goran is coming from the telecom industry, Dmitrii from the energy industry, and Tiago from the banking and governance industry. Goran.
Yeah, first of all, good after lunch, everyone. I hope we'll manage to keep you awake, or otherwise we'll have to ask you to stand up, clap hands, count downwards, after lunch. Hard to pick single most important. I would say important one in telecom industry is 5G, or 5G and or all other Gs that are coming, like 6G and monetizing on this. It's an opportunity and a threat. If we are slow in monetizing, in making digital products on top of it and selling only what we used to sell, like our traditional products, we are going to fail. So that's the opportunity and the threat. If we are slow in making the products on top of our infrastructure.
All right, and Dmitrii, what is it in your industry?
Maybe I can speak a little about the common view, because as I understand, there are two ways of improving, for example, productivity, or improving some process inside of a company. There is traditional ways, for example, the ways of Toyota. They are improving their process in a period of 15 or maybe sometimes 30 years. So there is a traditional ways to improve process, to get some additional profit, for example, to reduce cost and so on. And sometimes this improvement, traditional ways, it will take, for example, from 3 years to 30 years. So I was thinking about to prepare some slides, but as I understand, it's a discussion one. And we are talking about digital. The possibility of digital is to make a quick result, and the possibilities of data to make a quick result in the project. What I mean, if we see the statistic of digital project, for example, for the past 3 or 5 years, we can see that the 50% of our digital products give result in the first 2 years. So if you are talking in common ways, we are talking with the digital projects and the data platforms can give a result more quicker than, for example, traditional methods of improving the productivity and improving the process in the company.
All right, thank you very much, Dmitrii. And Tiago.
Yeah, my industry is government, and I think the biggest opportunities, of course, is the use of AI for public service delivery. Just to give an example, because the World Bank, we work all over the globe, how the name says. So for example, in Africa, there are some countries where doctors get the diagnostic right only 20% of the times. 80% of the times they're giving a wrong diagnostic. And still they give 20% of the diagnostics right, because they always say it's malaria, and 20% of the times it's malaria. So it's not really because it's a good diagnostic, right? In principle, right, you could have community health workers, not even doctors, with solutions that already exist, which would give much better diagnostics. So you could improve the level of health in these countries amazingly, right? But what is the challenge in there? Right? I would say there's two challenges. One is the capacity in government to see these opportunities. Government likes to think very in an analogical way, and this is across the board. And the other one is like regulations. Regulations. So to give an example, I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, we have regulations where community health workers or nurses, they can do very little because of the lobby of the doctors. They don't want people to be touching the patient because that creates a market reserve for them. So I would say that, yes, the biggest threat would be capacity in government, vested interests that comes with it to improve service delivery, and regulation, right? So I think sometimes instead of talking regulating AI, we should be thinking about regulating for AI, which should be coming up with regulations that makes the most of AI.
Would you agree that regulation is also the biggest challenge in your respective industry, or would there a bigger challenge for data and AI implementation?
It is one of the challenges, of course. Nobody likes it. I mean, in my domain, I'm, AI and data, AI, not AI. AI is everything. This is AI driven. But the regulation is something that, we need to follow. We need to respect it. But it is something that is kind of, slowing us in innovation. But, it's there and we need to respect it.
And Dmitrii, what would be your perspective on this?
My opinion that we need regulation, because today where AI is becoming more stronger and stronger, and I think we just maybe we can get maybe a level of AI which is higher than the human one. It's my opinion. And now we have maybe the level of AI which is more high than, for example, 95% of the people on the earth. So as for me, we need regulations and we need just the rules what we are playing now.
All right. Now I would like to focus on two central questions that will guide the rest of the conversation today. The first question is focused on how data and AI are transforming your respective industries. And I would like to start with Goran. How can telecom companies use AI and data analytics to drive digital transformation, improve customer experience, and maintain a competitive edge?
Wow, big question. Yeah, I would start first just to add to what Dmitrii said about transformation. Nowadays, with the explosion of what we see in these couple of days, explosion of AI, it's the expectations on the pace of transformations are really high. So he said something around 30 years, 40 years, 20 years. Now we are getting promises from the industry in like, you will get something in weeks that will transform everything. It's a solution that will revolutionize everything, and it's not. It's not happening that fast. Especially in industries like telco or maybe oil industry or energy industry, which are by nature big, slow, traditional, etc. So there is potential. It is transforming. Telco is a big industry. It's if you slice it into components, there are sub-industries. There is potential everywhere, but it's a matter of patience and placing smart bets into what I said earlier, like 5G or another use case which is in network, like operating, investing smart into network. Then again, jumping on the new technologies like Gen AI to automate customer service, but not to expect, I don't know, by the Christmas, not even Orthodox Christmas, which is in January, to have results, but to be patient and wait for we need to. Even with Gen AI, we need to wait for a couple of years at least. And we are in the process. I mean, the process of the transformation for years already.
But how can data and AI or AI and data analytics improve customer experience, for example, in the telecom industry?
There are multiple ways. Those two cases that I mentioned, they don't have like direct it's hard to measure, but there is no direct, like, your experience is improved by 2%. But if we invest in optimizing network, if we manage our network better by using AI, or again AI, by using traditional ML methods, by data analytics, it will impact the customer experience. It will impact the perception of the network, etc. And then the question with Gen AI and automation of customer interactions, B2C interactions in customer care, there is the big question whether in a short period this will really improve the experience. So we will be faster internally if we automate, but the question of how this really impacts the experience. That's why it's not really fast. It cannot be deployed like, okay, this is the fancy new solution, run it in your call center and it will work. It's really a matter of experience that it brings.
All right. Moving towards addressing operational challenges, Dmitrii, how is the energy industry, either in Nice or outside, leveraging AI and machine learning as a part of its digital transformation to address these operational and sustainability challenges?
Okay, thank you for the question. I will use some support materials from PR служба because we have some limits for information. From the beginning of the digital transformation from 2019, when Nice make the key point of the transformation were data science and machine learning. So we just started to train, to develop our internal team of development, and so we just started to learn our employees. And I can announce that at the beginning it was the only interest in the maybe only person who was engineers, the person who was machine learning engineers, the person who was analyzers, and now maybe we can tell that every third engineer in the company is our citizen data scientist. So we just involved a lot of people in the processes. We make a lot of workshops, and I can tell that in the stage now, company has created models that can optimize energy production and distribution. For example, we are talking about predictive maintenance models, increase operation efficiency. We are talking about digital schools, smart asset management, and process automation. And also it was about customer experience. Why it's so important to make a customer experience in our sector? Because we have a lot of petroleum stations. So we just making a personalized solution, churn prediction, and also we are talking about driven sustainability. So we are talking about optimizing energy efficiency from upstream to downstream. And also I want maybe to make a stress that we have a very great influence of AI in our ordinary life. For example, we have AI everything in our smartphones, in our notebooks. Even ChatGPT is using by every day by us and our employees, and we have a lot of willing from employees just to get additional skills inside of improving decision making. So making a special education courses for employees, and also maybe we are thinking about making implementation of decision making in the process, which can be not only support process but also in the main process of a company, especially. But all we are talking is about refinery, what we are talking about sales and so on. And also we are focused on the infrastructure, because as you understand, if we are buying F1 Formula car, we cannot use it if we don't have a road for her. So we are talking about infrastructure, we are talking about our internal data platform. We are trying to build it, and we are continuing to educate employees. And also maybe I just can tell that as for me, data and AI, it's not only about the platforms, it's not about decision making, but it's also about the way we are ruling the company, we are management people, and we are taking decision. Because as you understand, the speed of decision are making very fast. We need to react on the not only in the internal, some internal aspects of our business, but also in external, because the world now is very unpredictable, and we need to make some instruments which can give possibility just to predict it, maybe not in the period of year, but on the period week, month, and maybe half a year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dmitrii. Feel free also at any point if you would like to comment and chip in the conversation. Tiago, you were mentioning the difficulties, that the main challenge is regulation. What policies can governments implement to support digital transformation, particularly for SMEs that often struggle with adopting advanced data strategies?
Again, a big question. So
We're asking big questions here.
yes. I mean, what policies? Normally, less policies is better, right? For SMEs. So one thing is to reduce the administrative burden for SMEs. For instance, if you're an SME here in Serbia right now, and I don't know how many of you try to buy something online and try to give the product back and try to get the money back, it's extremely difficult, right? So if you are a company here in Serbia now and you want to sell something online, right, you're going to run into lots of problems when you try to operationalize that, precisely because of legislation related to consumer protection, but also like to financial flows, which were built for an analogous area, right? So updating these policies are extremely important, right? And particularly if you want to kind of like have like SMEs, if you want them to start to have like cross-border commerce and businesses and everything as well, you need to have other policies in place, right? So for example, one thing that the World Bank is supporting is what we call the mutual recognition of credentials, which means a signature valid here in Serbia will be also valid in Montenegro and vice versa, which makes, for instance, buying and selling much easier. Now, I think another way that, and particularly government, which is who we work as well, it is to think how what they buy could be supporting the local markets. What I'm saying is, take for example, Serbia has a fascinating tech scenario, like a digital private sector, which we see here, right? Why doesn't the government, when they buy technology, why aren't they buying more from these small tech startups and so on and so forth, right? So reforming the way the government makes procurement in technology, and government will be buying more and more technology in the coming years, right? Why not use that as a way to leverage the local digital economy? And I think that's a procurement policy that would have to be changing, but an essential one, and if nothing is done, it's going to be a big missed opportunity.
All right, so procurement, that could be already like something that supports SMEs.
Entirely.
All right, thank you very much. Now I would like to delve deeper into internalizing AI versus outsourcing AI capabilities. And I would like particularly to focus on the challenges of internalizing this within the organization, whether it is a company, whether it is a government, and so on. Goran, telecom companies often rely on external vendors for AI solutions. How do you see the balance between outsourcing and building internal AI expertise, especially for critical operations? And then as a follow-up question, what challenges have you faced in this area?
It's not really true that we fully rely externally, at least externally, at least in my case. And with this statement, I would say that all those companies who are not on this path of building internal capabilities, building internal skills, internal teams for AI or ML or data analytics are on the wrong path. I hope colleagues will not agree with me. I'll tell you why. It's something I've been on for quite a while, for years already. And already to your follow-up question, because there is no reason to really explain why this is necessary. If you want to renovate your house and you are skilled in painting, painting the walls, you are going to do it better than if you hire someone. Challenges. The first one is not really a challenge, it's a prerequisite. So if there is no really, if the answer to this question, to your question, within a company on a C level is something like, yeah, let's give it a try, run away. No, don't do it. So if there is anyone out there who needs to execute on this, to build internal competence, don't do it. The answer should be something like, yes, let's do it. What do I need to? How can I help you? What do I need to do to help you with this? And then the show starts. Then there is the reason why I hope they don't agree with me with the statement is finding people, finding talents, and bringing them into the company and retaining. Finding is the reason why I don't want them to agree with me, because we are competing over the same limited number of people. This building is now full of these people, but it's still limited. Second one, bringing them in. Like, telco, oil, energy, public sector, banking, we are not the sexiest industry for this type of people or for these. And there are people in this conference, representative of the companies who are, they state that they are building state-of-the-art Gen AI solution that will revolutionize everything. Hard to compete with that. It really is. It's a process. And then when you pass those two, then there is a big thing around retaining those people. And it's not only the question of, the default one that comes to mind, like how do we pay them? Is this la la la? It's question of really internal big change. So we need to become, I will repeat it, we need to become as at least a little bit sexy to retain these people, to change our processes, to change our procedures, to become more flexible, to become faster. I don't know how many times I had to apologize after doing something just for the sake of, making things working. And it's a big change for telcos, but I guess for, all other companies which are not like in startup mode, or I don't know, Google, Amazon, and big ones, or I don't know how they work actually.
Dmitrii, in industries like energy, where legacy systems dominate, how can companies internalize AI capabilities?
Maybe I just want to add to previous question. I agree with now a lot of people, especially qualified experts, were not interested very much in money. What I mean, we're interested in interesting goals and tasks, especially if we are talking about big companies. And there are maybe several types of companies. For example, they are very huge and they have a lot of bureaucracy inside of, and sometimes some experts don't want to go in this company because they see that it will be not very interesting, because for something decision making, you need a very fast decision making. Yes, and when we are talking about big companies, a lot of companies, I will not name the name of, I will not don't want to sound some names, but we are not interested in the result, because sometimes it's like a fashion, it's just like you hiring people to have a people. Sorry. Answering the question, yes, legacy is very important, because, for example, in the energy sector, there are a lot of systems which contains legacy information. For example, I can make one of the example we have. For example, we have a SCADA system which contains sensor information about our operations, and one of the ideas is to get a special integration layer, and we can transfer data to, for example, to the next layer. We can give analytical decision making. We can give a prediction decision, and after that move it to another layer. For example, for people who can make a business decision, who make a decision inside of a field operation, and so on and so on. The main idea is to make not a restricted area for sensitive data, but make the data useful for for the people. There are several ways of making it. For example, when you clear some information, when you mask some information, especially sensitive information, and for example, when you make a mix of this information inside of a system. So, for example, we just make experience of getting information inside of a system. I mean, not business information, but also information from industrial system. And also, I want to maybe answer the question, but for using information, you need people who can develop a system. It's the previous question, and we have two ways. The first way is just to hire very expensive, very upskilled people, and another way just to make eternal promotion of the people. And this is the two ways of development, where a lot of companies were making, not our company, but we are thinking about this, making an internal university for people who are making additional education programs, and after that we're making a promotion inside our company. But we, inside of NIS, we are thinking about two ways. The first was we need a person who have expertise, who have experience of making a data-driven decision inside of big companies, and that's another way we need business users who can make a good decision about the data, what kind of processes it includes, what kind of decision we can make, and make some insights inside of the system. And also I want maybe to announce about the knowledge of the people, because our main maybe goal is to increase the knowledge of the people inside of a company. I'm talking not about technical guys, but about the business users, because you need to spread knowledge about what kind of decision making we can do, what kind of processes we can make faster, what kind of data we can use, because sometimes, you know, some people have a not very spread view of business process in the company, because they don't want to use processes and data of another department and so on. And also there are some challenges about making an implementation middleware or IP for legacy system, and how to invest in data governance. And very important, it's about cybersecurity. We don't maybe have time today to talk about it, but I think it's the core idea of a data-driven system, how to implement data so that you can make it very secure. Secure, I mean, not to get it outside of a company, but to separate data inside of a company that everybody can get via each portion of information. And also about the culture resistance, where, for example, when you want to implement some system, implement some decision, and you have a very high level of resistance inside of business departments, it's maybe one of maybe additional conversation, because there are some ways and there are special methodics how to maybe to reduce this resistance. And I also want to say that it's always very good, very interesting to have your internal expertise inside of a company, but you always have to get some additional knowledge from a market. For NIS, we are just to get maybe decision to have internal expertise of data development, and we also want to have an expertise from academic universities, have expertise from a consulting company, just to consolidate it inside of a company and get the best practice from market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dmitrii. Tiago.
Well, I mean, let me start. How many of you here dream of working in government? Raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Let's speak afterwards. So let me start. I mean, technology in the public sector, right? Which is the area that we work with. In the 90s, along with kind of like what we could say, kind of like a bit of like a neoliberal fever, right? We started to say we should outsource everything. Government should only do the basic, right? And started by technology. Government, why have developers, right? Why have engineers? We should just be buying technology. And then we started to outsource everything. But then it arrived to what we like to call like the 5 million pound chair, right? If I go to a government and I say like, look, here's a very nice chair, it's anatomic, it's comfortable and everything, how much does it cost? And if I tell them to the government, it's a $5 million chair, they're gonna say like, you're joking with me, get out of my room, right? If it's an honest, of course, government official. Now, if I go there and say like, oh, here's a software that is gonna deliver customer citizen relationship management, right? You're going to be kind of like getting feedback from citizens, you're going to be interacting with them, citizens are going to be much happier. And I tell government, and they ask me like, okay, so how much it costs? And I tell them like, $100 million. Going to say, okay. Government doesn't know what they're buying, and they don't know the cost of what they're buying, because they outsourced so much their expertise inside government that right now they don't know the cost of things, right? And I mean, private sector, not everybody, they know that. They read the terms of reference that the government publishes for procurement of technology. The guy reads and they say, oh, easy prey. These guys have no idea, right? And then what happens is, okay, now we have this conundrum, right? Nobody wants to work in government. The people who understand technology can say like, this is crap and I'm not paying for that. This is BS, I'm not gonna be paying for that technology. These people cannot, they don't wanna come to government. And on the other side, if government continues like this, and with with emerging technologies, this asymmetry of knowledge will only increase, right? What's the real cost of things? So there's this conundrum. So what I think we should be doing is like thinking, what are the minimum expertise that you should be having in government, at least for government to be able to buy and that on. Because internalize all the expertise, I think even if government had the money and was attractive enough, you still probably would end up with kind of like not so good solutions. Because the government has a very strong difficulty of putting itself in the shoes of end users. Private sector does it much better, right? Do you think, look at, I'm not saying particularly about Serbia, but look at any service, public service online that you use, and after that ask yourself if you think there was end user testing that was done there, right? So what I think we need to do is kind of try to attract talent, the minimal talent, what this talent is, might be data scientist, a product manager, but somebody who knows what the needs are, transform that into technical specifications, and negotiate hard with the private sector, right? Private sector has been having it too easy with governments, and it's time to change it for the future.
All right, thank you very much, Tiago. I myself work with the government, and sometimes I come across biddings where I clearly see that this is overpriced. Like any service provider could very easily take advantage of this because they don't have the minimum expertise to understand whether this is actually, how much does it cost and does it make sense to give it to this supplier rather than the supplier. Now, let's get some input from the audience. I would like to open the floor for discussion, whether on any previous point that was mentioned by the panelists, or if you have any general question to them or to any of the respective industry. Questions? Of course, please. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the discussion. I have a question to you, Tiago, but also feel free to add your thoughts on that. Tiago, you mentioned a few times that regulation, EC regulation, is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to, a data-driven transformation. And this is mentioned very often, right? One thing I think that is not mentioned so often is the topic of culture, corporate culture and change management. Because, we as humans, we don't like to change a lot, and especially, when it goes to energy or banking sector, has been stable for a very long time, and now suddenly change is needed. So out of your experience, what are your thoughts on that? Oh,
for me, the only way of changing culture is hiring and firing. You know, I think culture is very difficult to change. You know, you can't turn a Brazilian into a Serbian or a Serbian into
Egyptian.
a Brazilian overnight, or an Egyptian. I mean, culture is difficult to change. Of course, you can create incentives for certain types of behaviors, right? But the amount of money that you're going to be putting into that, and experimentation that you need to be putting into place, you might as well just starting from hiring and firing. Particularly in the private sector, that's what people do, right? Before hiring, you see if the person aligns with your culture, right? Look at the last interview of Dario Amodei on the long podcast, right? He talks a lot about it, right? They spend lots of time to see, are the people that are coming aligning with us before, right? Now, this is the problem in the public sector, right? You can't fire. And there, it's a policy that should change.
Thank you very much. That's indeed a drastic approach, but can be proven to be very.
No, but he also said
very, very
hiring.
effective.
I
You
said
did-
hiring.
He said
Yeah,
hiring.
Of course, of course. What's your take on this?
You read
Goran?
only half of it. Well, hiring and firing on top.
Yeah. No, because that's what happens. Just to add here, right? You bring a super talented kid who's on top of the newest technology, right? And he knows, for example, he should be doing that, I don't know, on Python, right? And then there's like his boss, who will normally be his boss, and it's very vertical in the public sector. He's going to say, no, you have to use that, you know, maybe even COBOL, right? You have no incentive. You wanna leave your job the next day, because people, particularly in this sector, there's lots of jobs. They want to be doing things that are challenging and important. And they want to be working with people. They expect that the people who are above them know as much as them, or at least that knows that they don't know enough, and gives them the freedom and autonomy for doing that. Public institutions were designed to function exactly on the opposite, right? So this is the challenge. And I mean, and when I'm saying this, I'm talking about the public sector worldwide. So this is not criticism to any government or anything. And there are people who there are many reform-minded people trying to change that with what they can, including in the Serbian government, excellent people trying to grapple with this challenge.
Maybe just that, I'm
Yeah, I
really
would
not
like to have
in
you
HR or this cultural thing, but practically, really, it comes from top. So if these changes are happening, I've seen it in practice that change on top really impacts the whole culture. So it's hard to change it from bottom. No matter how enthusiastic or smart or what Tiago said, smart people, but they look above.
Dmitrii, would you like to add something to this?
Just remember, there is maybe a rule when it sounds like when you become a manager, you just get the limit of your competence. So it's about when you becoming higher and higher in position, you're becoming more and more incompetent. So it's about this one. I don't remember the name of this rule, but maybe it's about this one.
All right, Alexandra.
Just to spice up a bit the discussion and put disclosure, I work a bit with the World Bank. So there are changes globally in terms of how governments function. What are your expectations, and you don't need to be political on this one, from the states and the recent claims that they're going to change a lot in the way the government functions? We know that you're a global expert, Tiago, so what's your feeling?
Sometimes better than ever, right? Sometimes when governments say they're going to do lots of changes, they change for the worse. But I mean, I think, look, I see hope. For instance, here in Serbia, we started actually, we brought in people from Nordeus to start doing UX testing of public services, digital public services. And it's an effort that has been extremely welcomed by the government. And it's starting to generate some results. Hopefully, you will all see these results 2 years from now. 2 years in government world is super fast. But I'm seeing positive changes. But I think, and then again goes to the issue of which expertise they bring to government, which we should be bringing. I would say like the very minimum expertise that we should bring to government is UX. Government should understand user experience and user interface. And there I see some positive changes, but nothing radical.
For those that might not know, just what Nordeus is. Because
Oh, Nordeus is a big video game company, right? Because, I mean, if governments built video games, they'll be out of businesses, right? And if video game companies did their services as government, they would be out of businesses as well. So when you're a game, you need people not only to use your stuff, but enjoy your stuff. So one of the things that I like to do is to bring people from the video game world to assess government services. They get shocked at first, but then they get on board and they start seeing how to help it.
All right. Do we have any more questions from the audience? We have about space for one last question, which I am asking. All right, so this is a question to the three of you. What advice would you give to organizations just starting their data-driven transformation journeys?
Wow. If the transformation is like people changing or inventing processes or making new business models using technology on top of data, my advice would be that, you know, there is messy data, invest in fixing it. Technology is there, it's growing, it's everywhere. Invest in people. So investing in people will always bring a return, because technology companies are everywhere, you can buy it. People you cannot buy. You need to invest in education, in the thing that Dmitrii mentioned earlier, not only finding data scientists. If you remember, like the previous hype of data science between 2014, let's say, and 20, data scientists were cured to everything, and you know, we now know that they're not. So technology is not going to give us like transformation, it's the people.
People that I would like to remind you that you can find either within these rooms or in the hallways. So use the chance to talk to people. Dmitrii. To all of you.
As for me, I think the first step you need just to make references, cases of implementation data in our industries and our company, just to suit it on your company. Because sometimes companies begin these processes with data-driven, and we understand that it's not for them. Because as we talked before, we can make an example of government companies, or for example, some company which has a monopoly on the market. Sometimes we don't even need these processes. Yes, that's the first one. Just to make cases which is suitable for you. And after that, just to understand that this process is not very fast, and you need to get a lot of efforts inside of a company, and need a team which will be the leading team in this company and make the push of everything. And the next one, it's about money, because you will need money for this process. It cannot be done for free, or maybe for very little sum of money, because you need infrastructure, you need licenses, you need team, you need education, and so on. And maybe the last one, it's about the management, because I think the management, especially top management, we need to know what is data, what is the influence of the data, what is the impact of the data, and after that we need support this process, because sometimes we have some mixed definition of a mixed understanding of this process.
Thank you, Dmitrii.
Yeah. Well, I would say first, look at what. So there was this general, I forgot his name, who did amazing advances in aviation. And when they asked, like, how did he achieve that, he said, people, ideas, and machines, and in that order, right? So I think the first thing that you need to think is about people, right? So I would say, if you can see what you need and choose extremely well who to hire, invest in people worth investing. Let's not fool ourselves. There are people that are not worth investing. They don't want to get better, right? And those are some of the fire to fire, and try to recycle and build in your human resources permanently. We also need to understand that kind of like the needs in terms of people and talent is shifting constantly. So the earlier you start to put in place lean measures, why of course you're still kind of like respecting the rights of everybody and not being unfair, you need to do that. But I would say yes, people, ideas, and then machines.
All right, I would like to thank all of you for being here today, and I would like to thank you people